How is everyone doing on RVD's favorite holiday? I am doing well, and of course, as you guys can tell by the title below, I'll be discussing the cuts and releases from WWE last week. I believe these occurred about 4 or 5 days ago. The big rumor was that WWE was going to be doing quite a bit of releases, so that's why I kind of held off on doing this video. I thought they'd be doing, quite a bit of releases and doing them throughout the span of a few days, so I wanted to wait until, I made a video on it, but a big chunk of them did occur on the first day, and they quietly released, NXT talents as well as, like, PC coaches and whatnot, as well. So, just overall crazy stuff going on, a big, massive releases from WWE. Obviously, from what I understand, like the producers were furloughed, so people like Finley, Lance Storm, the Hurricane, IRS, Billy Kidman, they'll pretty much have their jobs back once this all calms down. So they're pretty much just on a leave of absence, no official release for the producers. But yeah, a lot of in-ring talent got released. NXT talent got released as well. NXT coaches, I'm not sure if they were released entirely or just furloughed, so I'm not completely sure, but some NXT talent as well. Some names not so shocking in a sense that just WWE did absolutely nothing with them, so there really was no surprise that WWE decided to let go of them. But on the other hand, there were some names that were surprising, so I'm going to go ahead and go through the list of names that WWE announced that were released. I will go ahead and mention some of the NXT talent as well, because there are a name or two that I was kind of surprised by. But the list of WWE talent that were released from WWE that WWE put out were, of course, Drake Maverick, who was the first person announced. Very surprising, just in the sense that WWE, even though they weren't doing anything really with him, he just seemed like a great company guy that they would just always keep around. And he's a part of this cruiserweight title tournament as well, and he's still competing in it. They fired him, yet he's still competing in their tournament. If you saw the promo he cut on Twitter, very, very heartbreaking, and it sucks. He's one of those people that, it sucks to see anyone lose their job, but he's one of those guys that it really especially sucked to see him lose it, just because you knew how much that job meant to him. So when it's all said and done, I could see Drake Maverick being one of the guys they bring back, because apparently some of the talent are talents that they're going to be open to bringing back once this all calms over. They're pretty much just cutting them for sake of saving their costs, I guess. But there are talents that, like I said, apparently that they're open to bringing back, but obviously it depends on the talent if they're willing to come back since being cut. But Drake Maverick is one of those guys I can definitely see being one of those guys that come back after this is all said and done. Curt Hawkins was announced. I'll talk about him more later, because someone else that got cut involves him, so I'll go ahead and talk about that later. Originally it was just Karl Anderson listed, but then of course afterwards they did list Luke Gallows. So Anderson and Gallows, the OC, released. Definitely the most surprising of the names released, because that they're involved with AJ Styles. They're involved in one of the biggest angles on Raw. I mean, hell, they were literally just involved in the main event of WrestleMania, or at least one of the main events, which ends up being their final WWE appearance now. But yeah, those two being cut definitely has to be the biggest surprise of the flock of people. Even though, in a sense, though, it is not that surprising, though, because honestly, just Vince never saw the value in them. So even though they, were in a prominent position, they were never valued as, valuable assets to the company, at least in Vince's eyes, I think. So I don't know. It's just very surprising, given the situation they're in. Now, obviously, they wanted out of their contracts a while ago, but honestly, they end up re-signing with WWE a while back. But yeah, definitely just very surprising, like I said, given the position they're in. And The Undertaker literally killed them off WWE TV. But I mean, that's pretty cool for them to say that their last WWE appearance was on, they were involved in the main event of WrestleMania. I think that's pretty awesome, to say the least. But yeah, definitely the most surprising bunch. But in terms of their future, I'm pretty sure they'll go back to New Japan. They'll probably dominate back there, join the Bullet Club again. AEW, I can see that being an option. I mean, hell, even Anderson and Gallows, they are two guys I can see as well, as if they wanted to, once this all clears up, I can see them going back to WWE. I could see that being an option for them as well. But, again, I could see them going to AEW, New Japan, pretty much anywhere I could see them appearing. So the ball is pretty much in Anderson and Gallows' court. But like I said, huge surprise to be cut from WWE, but at the same time, not so shocking just because, like I said, I don't think Vince sees a value in them. EC3, talk about a guy that I saw a lot of potential in. I thought had another opportunity at life in WWE, but they just did absolutely nothing with him. I remember being very, very happy that, you know, he came to NXT in 2018, came back to NXT. I was very happy because you know, he may not be the best in-ring guy, but you know, he's a great overall package. You know, he gets by in the ring, you know, when he needs to, and he has a great overall character. And I felt like, you know, he definitely had a lot to bring, especially as a main event talent. And he went to NXT, you know, he had a little splash there, but then he got called up, you know, for pretty much no reason. They did absolutely nothing with him, and then he just got released. So EC3 definitely was a huge missed opportunity on WWE's part. You know, I can see him being a huge asset to AEW right now. I think he'd be a great pickup for them, and I can see him being a main event talent there. So yeah, loads of potential in EC3, just WWE never sees to capitalize on it. Lio Rush, no surprise, just because of, you know, all the heat he supposedly had last year and whatnot, and him just refusing to wrestle during this pandemic. He has all the talent in the world, but he just pissed a lot of people off. So just not surprised at all by his release. Eric Young, they have done absolutely nothing with him, so him being cut is just absolutely no surprise. Heath Slater, he's one of those guys he's been around for so long, but, you know, once cuts came around, you kind of feared for him, and unfortunately he got cut, unfortunately. But, you know, I think he'll be okay. Again, he's someone that can see WWE bringing back once this whole pandemic ends, so it depends on whatever he wants to do. But I can see him going to AEW. I can see him being a solid mid-card guy there. So I think Heath Slater got some options, but yeah, you know, it kind of sucks to see him get cut, but like I said, I think he'll be fine. Another huge name, Kurt Angle, was cut by WWE. Not too shocking, though, because even though he's great, obviously WWE would love to have him, I don't think they really value him as high as they should. Obviously, they saw him as someone that they can get rid of and really not suffer by cutting. So I don't know. I love Kurt Angle. I can see him being an asset in AEW. I can see him, you know, being a manager or being some kind of TV role. I can see him doing that. But again, he can also be another guy I can see waiting till WWE brings back after this pandemic ends. So Kurt Angle, yeah, I can just see him being some kind of role in AEW or just coming back to WWE once it all ends. Aiden English, not really too sure what he can do. AEW, I guess, is a possibility, but I don't know. He hasn't wrestled in the last couple of years, and he's been on and off commentary, so not really too sure what his future holds. But you know, I don't know. He had something there with Rusev. They had something there with them, and they totally just lost it. So a missed opportunity, at least with him. Sarah Logan, they just did nothing with her, so I'm not really too surprised about it. Mike Chioda, very, very shocking. Of course, the senior referee in WWE. He's been there since, like, what, 98, something like that? Or not 98, 89, sorry. He's been there for a very, very long time. So for him to be cut is heartbreaking for me personally, because Mike Chioda, honestly, is my favorite referee of all time. I'll put him above any other referee. He's a GOAT in my eyes. So personally, it's heartbreaking as my favorite ref, but you know what? I can see WWE bringing him back after this, or Cody easily can scoop him up for AEW. So I think he'll be fine, but just still, it's heartbreaking to see that, see his time in WWE come to an end. Erick Rowan, very, very surprised, because he was someone that they were kind of, you know, pushing behind for a good while. The dumb spider thing didn't work out, and obviously they killed his push, you know, a little while back. But they were doing some things with him. You know, he beat Roman Reigns on pay-per-view, and they pushed him for a good little while and protected him pretty well. So to see him get cut was pretty surprising in all honesty. Primo Epico, I don't think they've been on TV for the past like 2 years, so them getting cut is absolutely no surprise. Mike and Maria Kanellis, same thing. They haven't been on TV. I know they've wanted out of the contracts. They even requested the release a while back before resigning with WWE again. So I think it just works out with them cutting them. Zack Ryder, you know, surprised by him being cut. That's why I kind of saved on talking about Curt Hawkins. I think they can be a valuable asset to AEW's Titan division. I think they could be fun and entertaining, so I think they'd be a good fit there. But, you know, Curt Hawkins, obviously he's been cut before. Zack Ryder is more surprising just because he's been there for so long and he's kind of seemed like a company guy there for life. So to see him cut is all in all kind of surprising, but yeah, I think they'll be fine with all, for the most part. No way, Jose. I don't know. Whatever he wants to do, I guess. I don't know. I don't really see the value in him, so I don't really care what he does. No offense to him. So not really much of a loss for WWE, but you know, he'll be fine, I assume. And of course, one of the big ones as well being Rusev. Obviously there were some talks about him and WWE not coming to a contract with negotiations, so him being released honestly isn't that much of a surprise. Just more wasted potential. I think Rusev definitely had the potential to be a main event talent, especially as a heel. You know, his heel run 2014 was fantastic towards the end of it, and to see him kind of crumbled into what he's become, it kind of sucks. You know, especially the Rusev day, they definitely had something with them with that, and they just never capitalized on it. You know, because he got himself over. They didn't get him over. He got himself over. So it sucks, but he definitely could be a huge asset in New Japan Pro Wrestling or AEW. So I think wherever he decides to go, he can definitely be a main event player there. But yeah, WWE definitely missed a boat on him, you know, in terms of a main event talent. And then of course we had some NXT talents released. Dan Matha, he always sucks or whatever. Tino Sabbatelli, they've tried with him quite a few times. It just never worked out. So I can't say I'm too surprised about that. Cezar Bononi or whatever his name is, he never did anything with him. Taynara Conti, you know, she was good. So, but I don't know. From what I understand, there were some issues the last couple months with her, so her getting cut isn't too surprising. Deoanna Purrazzo, I can't say I'm surprised. You know, I've always liked her, but in all honesty, she's been there for what, 2 years, and they've just done absolutely nothing with her. So her leaving is no surprise. I definitely see her being a good asset to AEW's women's division, and someone that honestly the rumor right now is it's not sure if he's fully released or possibly furloughed, but honestly release wouldn't surprise me, and it's none other than Kassius Ohno. I've always been a huge Kassius Ohno fan, but in all honesty, they've done absolutely nothing with them since they brought him back. He's got one title shot, immediately lost, and they've done absolutely nothing with Kassius Ohno the past 3 years. I think the only reason why they brought him back was so that way they can transition him into a coach or a trainer once he retires in ring. But yeah, they've just, I don't know. I could see them cutting him, but if they do, you know, probably for the best, because he's just done absolutely nothing. Like I said, I think he could end his career on a high note in AEW. You know, get some bangers out there as, you know, as Chris Hero for the last, you know, few years of his career and whatnot. But you don't know, Kassius Ohno, he's always been a huge missed opportunity in WWE. They just have something against him. They just won't push him. Like I said, I do think they only had him to transition him into like a trainer, coach once he decides to hang it up. But yeah, he's kind of just been there in WWE. So him leaving, going to AEW, honestly would be very beneficial for him, and I think probably the best way for him to end his in-ring career. You know, if WWE won't do anything with him. So yeah, that's pretty much the list of the released talents in WWE. Like I said, you know, some of the names not too surprising, but some of them pretty surprising. You know, obviously, like I said, these most surprising names would have to be Rusev, Kurt Angle, as well as Anderson and Gallows. Those definitely are the most surprising names on the list. Mike Chioda as well. Definitely wouldn't expect him to get released, but pretty much everyone else you could pretty much see happening, or at least be like, you know what, even though they did use that person, you know, they're not really cutting too much losses with them. So I don't know. It sucks that so many people, you know, got released by WWE, but I think majority of them will be fine. I think, you know, majority of them will find homes elsewhere or be welcomed back to WWE once this all calms down. Honestly, out of everyone, I think it favors Karl Anderson and EC3 the most. I think Anderson should get a huge singles push in New Japan, and I think EC3 will probably climb the ranks in AEW pretty quickly. So those are just my predictions in terms of who I think will benefit the most out of these releases. Like I said, I think everyone for the most part will be okay. But yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please feel free to leave a like below. And of course, the next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video.